Next up, we have George Dyson. In telling stories of technologies and the individuals who created them, George Dyson takes a clear-eyed view of our scientific past while illuminating what lies ahead. A prolific and wide-ranging author, George has written numerous books, including Bidarka, Darwin Amongst the Machines, the last book written about the internet, written without using the internet, Project Orion, and most recently, Turing's Cathedral. Mr. Dyson holds the distinct honor of being the first person to grace the stage of Bellingham Pecha Kucha 2 times. Woo! A rare treat. George Dyson.
Thank you for inviting me back. And the weekly billed me as the token skeptic. So actually, I'm going to be very optimistic that I'll get the skepticism out of the way. And I'm half Canadian, so I can say this. Bellingham, the Tijuana of Canada. That's the future that awaits us if we don't act up and do it right. If you invite a historian to talk about the future, this is what you're going to get. We're going to start 16,000 years ago. You are here under 3,000 feet of ice. And as the ice begins to melt, Bellingham remains underwater for several thousand more years as the land begins to float up and emerge. 5,000 years ago, the rainforest as we know it begins to mature, and people are able to now build their boats. There's so much wood, they're able to build their boats by removing wood until nothing is left but a canoe. And the result of that, as Swill told us at the beginning, was a civilization unlike anywhere else on Earth. There was more wealth on the northwest coast than almost anywhere in the world. There was so much wealth that we had to invent a system for redistributing it called the potlatch, which was described best as fighting with property to equalize the wealth distribution. I arrived in 1970 to Vancouver, British Columbia at age 17. I'm the kid up there on the yardarm. So I fell in love with working sail. That was what I wanted to do. There were kayaks on the Canadian $2 bills. I first came to Bellingham on a seiner from southeast Alaska. I was dreaming of this. I believed the future was coming when a human-powered civilization would return to the northwest coast. And I worked very hard for a long time to try and realize that with some success. It's mixed success. It never, we're still not there yet, but I did my best. So this is Dixon entrance between Ketchikan and Prince Rupert sailing south. So I found that you could only sail or a quarter of the time, but half the miles you made good were under sail. So sail really works. It's in the spectrum of, roads are okay, but sail is better. Bellingham, 1855 was the first published survey of Bellingham Bay. There's only, at this point, a handful of people living at the mouths of Whatcom and Squallaby of white settlers. So Bellingham began to grow very quickly. 1888, it's a small city. The water's very shallow, so the dock has been extended way out into the bay. This is what today still survives as Colony Wharf, so that the ocean-going ships could reach the town. All commerce came in and out of, notice there's no railroad, came in and out of Bellingham by sail. Then in 1913, we built Whatcom Waterway and Citizens Dock so that the deep-sea ships could come right into the heart of our downtown. Whatcom Waterway was dredged to a depth so that any ship that could go through the Panama Canal could tie up right in downtown Bellingham. And so that's what we had. We had Citizens Dock, the museum there. That was the heart and soul of our community was Citizens Dock. And it was, of course, a tragedy that it has disappeared. When I arrived in 1989, the remnants of Citizens Dock, so I'm standing on what was left of Citizens Dock. The arrow on the left is my building, which we saw in a previous presentation is going to become this part of this beautiful hotel development. And the arrow on the other side is what's currently the Logos building. You can see it's completely gutted. And so Whatcom, the view today, this is from the 7th floor, from the penthouse of the granary. So what's wrong with this picture? Well, the granary building is abandoned and falling into disrepair. The train station is abandoned. We have no train station downtown. Whatcom Waterway has been deauthorized, so it no longer is being maintained. And we have a 250,000 square foot warehouse that has no connection to the waterfront. The only thing right in that picture was the waterfront tavern. So we go to some place that's done it. Still get a drink, but Genoa, Italy, for which Columbus and my mother both came to America from Genoa. And in Genoa, there is no marina. The waterfront is the marina. For downtown Bellingham, Whatcom Waterway is our Genoa. It's our central public waterfront, and it's a minor crime. I think actually legally probably a crime that it was deauthorized without any proper public hearing. So in the years since I was a kid sailing on the Sonaquah, my friends have become much richer and they have much bigger boats. This is ethereal, 180 feet, 18-foot depth. We built Whatcom Waterway so ships like that could come right in there, so the captain of the ethereal could come have breakfast at the Old Town Cafe. But I come from a working sail background. My hero is Richard Henry Dana, who wrote 2 years before the mast. And he ran away from Harvard at age 19. Then he came back and became a lawyer for the rest of his life. He wrote The Seaman's Friend to help the poor seamen of the 19th century who were mistreated but did the work that brought commerce to the world. In the 19th century, today, 90% of world trade is still ocean freight. Even in the 19th century, the efficiency of a 19th century sailing ship was 60%. Direct translation from the momentum of the atmosphere into moving, useful freight. So if you look at it today, in the trade winds, far more energy is captured than is needed to drive the ship. Through hybrid sail, that's just building Prius sailing vessels, you can redistribute the wind in space as well as time, and sail lost out to steam over scheduling, not speed. Sailing ships are just as fast, and we can redistribute them. So if you look at the entire global wind circulation for sailing ships, look at it as turning the whole planet into a planetary wind turbine, where the problem with wind turbines is the bearings and the blades. So the oceans become a hydraulic bearing, and the blades are a fleet of ships. So in the future of Bellingham, do we want our icon to be a bunker-fueled cargo ship that never goes anywhere, or do we want sailing ships that do? Thank you.